So to finish my Pueblo story, why I left Pueblo is because I lived next to these criminals. When I called the police, they did exactly what I thought they were going to do, not give a shit. You know, it's like you have to have power to, you have to make the power of the police listen to you. You got to have evidence, you got to have a video camera, you got to have lots of witnesses, and you have to be able to tell them, hey, do your damn job. Because if you don't have enough power to say, do your damn job, and you're like, oh, I got beat up and I got robbed, and they're just like, why'd you get beat up? Why'd you get robbed? We're not going to do nothing for you. Fuck you. And it's like, who the fuck are you, man? Can you protect and serve me? I'm paying all these fucking taxes. Do I get the protected? Oh, I don't get that protection? Oh, I just get victimized. I just get beat up by the fucking... Never, ever do they have the cops helped. Never, ever have the cops ever helped me. Whenever I've said, oh, there's a robbery or they, you know, I needed the police to do... They never fucking helped. They always hurt. And so I was very, you know, skeptical of it. I heard some bad stories about them, you know, dealing drugs and basically being a bunch of two-faced hypocrites, as, you know, cops are. They're renowned for. I mean, when you have power and there's nobody checking your power, they're just going around being Nazis. So I know that Americans wouldn't give a shit if these Nazis were going out pulling Jews out of the house. They wouldn't do shit. Neighbors wouldn't do shit. Nobody would do shit. They're afraid of the cops. Instead of saying, you know what, we're afraid of the cops and they should do good, they're like, well, we'll kiss your authoritarian ass. That'll stop it, right? Yeah, if you kiss the authoritarian ass, then they just think, well, my authoritarianness is fucking working. And that's actually where the first sucker comes from, right? One fucking piece of shit fucks somebody else over. One person lies fraudulently to another person. Aha, you're a sucker. I remember selling sweet corn, and I had a lot of sweet corn. I had a whole bunch of, you know, whole crop full of sweet corn, so I didn't mind giving, you know, for a dozen, $5 a dozen. I wouldn't mind giving a couple extra. You know, I just wanted to make people happy. People would stop by, pick it up, and then go on. And so I was happy about that. I was very happy, you know, that I was doing good in business, but I was happy that I was providing them with a service that they wanted. So I wasn't going to people's house and saying, hey, will you buy this? They were stopping by on the side of the road and they were buying it. And so I loved doing that because I was giving people what they wanted, exactly what they wanted. They got it, and then they went home. And so, yeah, that's exactly how I think a good business person, a good politician, you give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. Don't sucker them. Don't trick them. You know, if you're actually going to be a good representative, be a fucking good representative. Don't just make a bunch of bullshit fucking promises and then once you get in there, you know, not give a shit. So, in conclusion, to the, you know, my exit strategy of getting the fuck out of Pueblo City, for 2 years, those motherfuckers terrorized the shit out of me. I did not feel safe in Pueblo City, and thank goodness I do have a shotgun. I don't have any other weapons, but I did not feel like I could leave the house for more than an hour or two. I couldn't get a job. They would have robbed every fucking thing in my house and then played dumb about it. I didn't have any video cameras. The cops didn't give a shit about protecting and serving me. They protected and served the criminals. So they can't tell the difference between angels and criminals because they are the criminals. Dennis Flores lies about the voter thing. They're criminals. They get all that tax money. They spend it how they fucking want. They don't give a shit about the people. The government don't. The people don't. Nobody. It's America, right? Dog eat dog capitalism. Nobody gives a shit about anybody. And that's just bullshit for fucking 2 years being terrorized. I can't even get a fucking job. I can't even go out and get a fucking job and think, you know that my stuff would be safe when I got back. So, you know, maybe I should have just picked up and gone, but you have to live someplace, and you got, you know, there's only so many places I was renting that was affordable. So, you know, it's just like these fucking impossible goddamn fucking decisions. Do you want to be, you know, live in danger? Do you want an affordable place? Do you want to, you know, be robbed by, you know, a landlord that takes $1,000 a month for a studio? Or what? So, it was bullshit. I hated Pueblo City. I still hate Pueblo City. I will never live back in Pueblo City for the rest of my life. Nobody should live in Pueblo City. Nobody should live in Pueblo City. Nobody should live there. Nobody should go there. Pueblo City has nothing for anybody. They're a bunch of criminals, and they don't give a shit. So let me finish. Let me tell you, I mean, this is, you know, if the cops aren't going to be good cops, then I need to defend myself. But if I'm not allowed to defend myself, I'm just got to be, you know, what, Rhythm Zero? Got to be that lady that just sits on the table and let everybody stabs her and pokes her and rape her until, what, until she stands up after 6 hours? So, Maria Abramovic, Rhythm Zero. This is, when you let people, when you let humanity do whatever they want to you, they will do it. And they won't stop. And they don't feel bad about it. And, you know, in some respects, if you're letting them do it, right, you're consenting, but then why do people have to be depraved? Why do people, ooh, I get to be depraved? I get to, you know, somebody pointed a gun at her head, and then I think they pulled the trigger. So the humanity, when you allow, you know, people to walk all over you, they will. They will. So you got to not allow people to walk all over you. And but if you're the angels of Pueblo City aren't allowed to stand up, if the angels aren't allowed to defend themselves, if the cops aren't defending the angels, if the cops are the criminals and they defend the criminals, or they're scared of the criminals so they don't stand up to the criminals, then they're on the same fucking side. Those cops will fuck me over in a heartbeat for whatever, weeds or some shit. But if I had sunflowers, because sunflowers are illegal. That's another thing. That should tell you everything you need to know about Pueblo City. They had a law for the last 100 years banning sunflowers. What the fuck is wrong with sunflowers? It's a desert out here. If you get any kind of flowers, a desert flower, that's gorgeous. That fucking flower fought, you know, fought everything. The cold, the weather, the drought. And they was able to, it's like a rose that come out of concrete. A sunflower that comes out of the fucking desert. And you're going to sit there and say that that's a weed? Meanwhile, they have goat heads all over the fucking place. So, sunflowers are bad, Pueblo City? Okay, keep that law. But I'm going to assume that you guys are all pieces of shit because you don't like sunflowers. When I called the police, I was nervous because are they going to take my side? I have to say, do your damn job, and if they don't, there was one hot-headed piece of shit that wanted to be a fucking dick, and then there was one guy that was actually being reasonable, and he tried to do his best, and I think actually I'm overall happy with the decision because it allowed me to get out and get away. What they did is they let me talk to the mother of the person, and she was respectful because there's cops right over my fucking shoulder, but she was a dick before, she was a dick afterwards. But when the cops were there, I was able to convince her to come in here, pick all his stuff up, and then once they get the stuff, take it over there, and then we'll just be done with it. And so I was okay with that. I was still mad about the entire incident, and I was sitting there talking to, you know, my friend, and while I was talking to him, he came back out, and he's just standing there in the same yard where he crossed over, where he threw the fucking applesauce, and he's just standing there, just sitting there listening to my fucking conversation. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? This is fucking bullshit. So I called the dispatch 3 times. 3 times I called the dispatch. First time when he was hitting the woman, he tackled her, he put hands on her, he was dragging her the night before. So the night before, when they were yelling for about a minute, he drug her. He was dragging her on the ground until eventually I came out there and told him to stop. So was there physical violence? Probably. He tackled her and he dragged her. Did he hit her? I didn't see him physically hit her, but he put hands on her, he drug her, he tackled her. That's physical violence. And when I called the dispatch, I said there's been an act of violence, and then that fucking piece of shit, that asshole on the other line was like, huh? What do you mean an act of violence? Huh? What do you mean? And then she's like, I feel like she's just trying to trick me to keep on saying. I would have told every fucking thing you needed to know if you were listening to me. But if you're trying to say, well, what did you do, right? Because it's just easier to just say fuck everybody instead of actually making a determination of who was right and who was wrong. I wasn't beating up a woman. I wasn't destroying property. I wasn't going around threatening people. That's what they were doing, and that's who the cops defended. That's who the cops defended. They knew exactly where it was. They knew where it was going. And they took 30 minutes to get there. I pointed to them. They didn't. They slowly fucking pulled up. They didn't chase the guy. The guy runs into the fucking house. So he's been doing this his entire life. Cops don't want to run. They don't want to chase after him. And so they're just like, well, I guess you got away, right? So that's, you know, the criminals teach us how to be stronger, but I got to look over my shoulder for criminal cops and criminal citizens. And it was no different with Pueblo City. One cop was good. I'll give that one cop credit. He gave me his cell phone number. He told me to call if I felt like, you know, if I needed anything. But then by the time I called the 3rd time, he was sitting there just, you know, standing on the fucking thing, intimidating me. There was an incident where a white woman felt like there was a man who was being belligerent. She didn't get hit, she didn't get smacked, she didn't get nothing, but she called the police, and the police were ready to, you know, kill this guy, so she gets police protection immediately, on the second, just because she was like, ooh, I'm a little bit scared. But meanwhile, this terrorist, criminal, who is meth addict, robs fucking people, poor people, not the rich people, only the neighbors of the in the neighborhood. And this criminal piece of shit, poor piece of shit, that's who they didn't chase, they didn't question. And then when I told them about him staying in my RV, they said, well, you give him a key, and he's got clothes? Well, he's got to stay there. He's got rights, too. What do you mean he's got rights? He was supposed to, you know, pay me $100, which he never did, or he was supposed to go to 3 meetings, which he never did. So if you are nice to somebody, then they just get to do whatever the fuck they want to do. They get to rob and cheat and steal and hit women and break property, and that's totally fine. That's who the Pueblo police are. That's who the Pueblo police are. They were never good. They were never nice. The dispatcher immediately took the side of the criminals because she's a criminal. She's a criminal. She has to believe that, what, all men are just pieces of shit because she's a piece of shit. So I am so sick and tired of putting my angelic qualities on everybody, including the fucking criminals, and meanwhile I'm the one that gets fucked over. So I also called the police. You're supposed to assume the one who calls it in is the victim. But I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm white, and they were brown. And, fuck me, right? Fuck my life. Who gives a shit about me? And that's America. That's America. So, it's, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by it, but I'm sad and I'm disappointed. And when I tell people about this thing, it's like I can just see their eyes glaze over because they don't give a shit either. So, if we can't agree that murder and violence and stealing and rape is wrong, then me and you are different. America, we are very different. I think murder is wrong. I think rape is wrong. I think stealing is wrong. I think violence is wrong. I think those are the 4 worst things you could do to somebody. One body to another body. You could destroy their property, too. That's stealing, setting, their house on fire. You could take craps on the floor. There's betrayal, but you could lie, right? That's not illegal. But murder, stealing, violence against women, it's okay for him to drag a prostitute around and beat her up and yell at her and terrorize her. That's okay for Pueblo City? Evidently it is. For the male cops. Male cops are not defending the women. And the dispatcher, the female dispatcher, doesn't give a shit about the women. So I called 3 times. The first time it took 30 minutes to get there. As soon as they left, he came right back. I called on them again. And then after, I was talking, he came right back again. So as soon as the cops left 2 times, he came right back. And then eventually, by the 3rd time, the dispatch didn't want to hear it. And she told me, and this just the last thing that, the last conversation that I had with the public officials before I said, fuck this city because they're a bunch of pieces of shit. They're all a bunch of criminal pieces of shit. They're all. Every single one of them. I was there for 2 years. Nobody gave a shit. They're all the doctors, the fucking hospitals, everybody. Everybody. There was a couple of nice people here and there, but it wasn't a consistent goodness. It was just kind of being nice here and there just because to make the pain, I guess, soften the pain. So the last thing that the dispatcher had told me was, you need to get in the house. Get in the house, sir. So he's allowed to stand in his yard, which, if the incident didn't happen that day, yeah, he's allowed to stand in his yard. But if I'm a little scared white woman, and this man has been terrorizing and attacking people, and I called 3 times, and now he's still out there the same day, an hour after the incident happened, they would have given a shit. If I was a white, Mexican, black, if I was a female. Oh, what, a man is terrorizing you? You poor, helpless female. We will protect you. Oh, wait, you're a man? Well, we're not going to let you defend yourself, and we're not going to protect you. How you like them apples? So the thing that she said was that I need to go inside. So he's allowed to stay outside. He was allowed to stay outside and just, stand in the yard and be intimidating. He's trying to just menacing. That's menacing. That's harassment, menacing, terrorism. I think actually all those charges would have worked for that. On top of the assault charges and the property damage. So I called the dispatch and it was on, speakerphone, so that way everybody could hear. Everybody was on the same page, and that was it. So he's standing there. She said, I need to go inside, and I went ahead and just hung up on her. And then his brother took him inside, and then I went inside. So in a way, I guess the 2 people. But if the brother wasn't there, and then he gets to terrorize the shit out of me, and it was the same brother that started the fight, to begin with. So I'm glad I got, that I was able to unite this family together in unison against me, but they were united against me since I went there. Because they're psychos and they're being controlled by mothers who are psychos, who don't love them, who only want to oppress them and, do this, do that. And they're not trying to make them strong, they're not trying to make them rich and strong on their own. I've heard this one guy say that he was like sitting there, he had to get a job to pay for his mother. The mother, who's, 40 or 50 years old, she could get a job, she could go work, but he's a 17, 18-year-old, young man trying to take care of his mother. What the fuck, old woman? You're an adult. Go get a goddamn job yourself. Yeah, you don't like hearing that shit, do you? Yeah, you've been telling me ever since I've been fucking 3 years old I gotta get a job, so, welcome to the real world, woman. Mean women who think you're going to just sit around on your fucking ass for the rest of your life and be shitty to everybody. At least be nice, at least be pleasant, at least put out a good, what the fuck? Sit around on your fucking ass, get security, get your peace, get your security, get power, get money, get wealth. What the fuck? Get respect from other women, right? Because there's this one time I saw this one woman on YouTube. She was sitting there just yelling at her boyfriend, you do this, you do that, you're no good. And then another woman said, why are you being so mean to him? And then she just started crying. So yeah, fuck over the man who loves you, but when you're seeing a woman who, you know, somebody who it's socially acceptable to hit you back, now you respect them? That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. People need to respect niceness, goodness. You should respect somebody just because they exist. Until they've done something to you, respect is earned, but it also can be detracted, right? So if you're just an asshole and you want me to kiss your ass so you can feel like you're important? Nope, I'm not going to do that. So the last thing the dispatcher said was that I had to go inside and he was okay. So the criminals can stand in the yard, but I'm not allowed to stand in my own yard. If he stands in his yard and I stand in my yard, now we're standing across from each other. You said it was acceptable, right, dispatcher? Pueblo City dispatcher, you said that that was acceptable. And you want to pretend that, what, you're not in the middle of the fucking law? You're not in the middle of the entire criminal justice fucking system? And who the fuck is a dispatcher? Well, that should be an elected position, too. All these fucking positions should be elected. Just one motherfucker gets in the office and then we appoint everybody else. Who the fuck is this dispatcher? She's a criminal. She's a bad person. She doesn't understand right from wrong. And nobody should feel safe in Pueblo City. Nobody should feel safe. Unless you're rich and live in Pueblo West. The only people that should feel safe in Pueblo City are those who live in Pueblo West. So what it made me feel was just that. He's allowed to stand in his yard, but I'm not. The angels can't stand in their own yard. The angels have to run inside their house and be scared all the time. He did all this fucking terrorist bullshit. What needed to happen was he needed to be so fucking scared he would never fucking think about fucking with me ever again. But the police weren't on board with that. The dispatch wasn't on board with that. You cannot fuck with me. You cannot, try to rape, murder, violence, stealing. These are the worst things. You've done these 4 things. You've done 2 of the 4. Then I think that the other 2's right around the goddamn motherfucking corner. And, humans can do bad and good at any moment in time. So, to think that what? They're not capable, they're bad people. They don't mind hurting other people. So they were criminals. They were shitty to people all the time. And I'm, a fucking angel. And instead of siding with the angel, they told the angel that the angel needs to, go inside. So no wonder you got crime all over the fucking place. The cops are criminals, so they can't tell the difference between, a law. The criminal will kiss the cop's ass, respect the cop, run away from the cop or whatever. But meanwhile, good citizens say, cop, do your job. And they're like, hey, don't you tell me what to do. I'm a free man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're free to be a fucking criminal fuck. You're free to ignore crime. And so, yeah, what the fuck? As an American, I have to run inside every time there's a criminal outside trying to terrorize me? No, fuck you. If there's a criminal trying to terrorize me, I'm allowed to go meet that threat. I don't have a duty to stand down. If anything, I don't have a duty to retreat. I don't have a duty to retreat. There's castle law. I don't have a duty to retreat. You trespass, and I think you're going to do me harm? Yeah, I guess you could get shot. So, if anything, I showed compassion. Sneaky, there was when he crossed over the fence onto my property, and he meant to do me harm. He had an applesauce jar. It was a glass jar. He picks up a chair, it was a steel chair. Picked up weapons to do me harm. And then when I said that he was out there, does he have a gun? What's he doing out there? Just standing out there? Menacing. He's menacing. The cops weren't going to give him a scare. Cops weren't going to say nothing to him. The one cop was sitting there. The one cop asked if I had a gun. Do you have a way to defend yourself? Yeah. And if I didn't have the gun, then I probably would have got robbed many times. But because I had the gun, I didn't get robbed in Pueblo City. I did not get robbed. And I've been robbed a bunch of times. But not by the gangsters. Not a home invasion. I got robbed by doctors and landlords and government officials. But not outright by the criminals. So only because I was allowed to defend myself. And then the Democrats want to say, nope, we don't give a shit about your life. We don't give a shit about your existence. The cops are shitty, but fuck you, white man. You got it all good. I've never had it good. You can kiss my fucking ass. Motherfuckers that talk like that are just racists that want to, racist, sexist that want to hurt other people. That's the solution to racism and sexism, huh? Racism and sexism against the anti-racist and the anti-sexist. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but ultimately I feel the only men that are respected in our society are the wealthy and the violent cops, the violent daddies, and the ones who got wealth. If you got wealth and property, then you got the cops on your side. And if you don't have the cops on your side, if you're not violent yourself, you're not going to get respect. Not in America. And you know, I wish in Pueblo City, if I was a police officer, I would have arrested him that night when he was sitting there dragging her around on the ground. I would have arrested him that day when he wouldn't let her leave. That's entrapment. That's imprisonment. He was imprisoning her. She couldn't leave my property in my yard. She couldn't leave. She wasn't allowed to leave. And then he was pushing, you know, taking air on my tires, and then broke the property. So. And he also wanted to do me damage. So if anything, that family should thank me for, you know, I know the law. He coming over my property, and he intended me to do harm. I punched him twice, but that's the least of what he should. He should have got an ass kicking. He didn't get an ass kicking. She didn't get her property back. The prostitute ran off. There was no justice. And if anything, I was afraid of the police. I learned that the police didn't give a shit about my life. They wouldn't protect and serve me, and they would allow that next door criminal to terrorize me for the rest of my life. They were okay with that. They were prepared to do that, and if I wanted to stand up, he come to my house, and I had to, you know, defend myself by shooting him, I think the Pueblo police would have ruined my life. I think they would have arrested me and then put me behind bars for many years because I defended myself. And I don't like living in a society like that. I feel like I need to have video cameras all over the place just because it's my word versus theirs, and you need evidence to, you know, to be able to tell who's right and who's wrong. I feel like if people are talking to you, then that means they're trusting that you're going to do the right thing. If they're explaining something just because they're not, you know, and the ACLU says to speak up even if your voice is shaking. So if you're scared because, you know, you're snitching, right? So that's, you might get in trouble for snitching. And then you're talking to a fucking thug in blue, and if he don't fucking believe you, now you got, you know, a criminal that you got to look out for. Now you got another fucking criminal to look out for. Well, what kind of fucking deal is that? So you have Dennis Flores, who's a city councilman. He lied to kill instant runoff voting. They didn't listen to the Charter Convention. They didn't give a shit. And so the city government's a bunch of criminals who are fucking over the kids, the future generations. They don't have a homeless shelter because they don't care about each other. They don't care about themselves, and they don't care about you and me. So I feel great that I'm out of Pueblo City. I feel so good. I feel so relieved. I'm not being terrorized on a day-to-day basis when I leave. I know that all my stuff is going to be here. So Conejos County has been absolutely wonderful compared to Pueblo City. Conejos County it's like people are decent. People are decent, and maybe because there's space and people have, you know, enough property to survive on. But I don't have the fear of when I leave. I feel like I could leave probably for several days. In Conejos County, this is in the RV park. There's other people around here, so I think it'd be a little bit different. You know, if it was a different situation. But yeah, Pueblo Stories. Peace.